Hey you guys, welcome back to the Crafty Creative. I am Kari and I am super excited to bring this video to you today. Today I'm going to run through the Design Space interface and go through every single tool that you see and all the different elements on the Design Space software. It can be if you've never used Design Space before, if you've never used an editing software, it can seem a little bit intimidating, but I promise you Design Space is very user-friendly. And once you get the hang of it, doing a couple projects, it gets so much easier as you go along because it's the same type of tools and functions that you end up using. So today I'm just going to go through everything that you see here on your canvas and on your interface so that it can make it easier for you as we go into more tutorials when we do specific type projects. Before I get into everything, I just want to guide you along. This panel here on the left, this is your design panel. This panel on the top here is called your edit bar. So that's where we're going to edit different elements and components of our design. I do have to pull up a text bar here for you to see the other bar. This panel here on the top, but on the the second row, that is your text edit bar. And on the right hand side, we have our layers panel. So this is our layers panel here. We have our zoom functions, which you'll see right here. We could zoom in and out of our designs. And this area right here, let me just zoom back out. This area right here with all the little boxes, that is called our canvas. That is where we're actually going to create all our designs. We're going to have our text. We're going to have everything that we want to make or create to go onto a specific project. It's going to be done here for us. So those are the different areas and elements of Design Space. And now I'm going to go into more detail into every single thing that you see here and get you ready to and comfortable to use the software as we go into more projects. Okay, so I just opened Design Space. You just click on the Cricut logo at the bottom and you open it. This is the page that it will bring you to. It will bring you straight onto the home page. And what you would do is you would click Canvas or click New Project. So if you click Canvas, it takes you to this interface right here. And this is the interface that I'm going to talk to you about today, and I'm going to go through everything in detail as to what it means, what it does, and then in the videos to come, we will go through project-specific details. So on your top left, we have a panel. Well, on the left-hand side, we have a panel. That's your design panel. And then on the top, you have another panel there. That's your editing panel. And on the right-hand side, we have another panel as well. So we'll go from left to right, and I'll go through everything with you. Where you see Untitled Project, if you were to name your project, as you start doing stuff in your design space, it will give you the ability to save. Once you save, it's going to change this from Untitled Project to whatever you decide to name your project. If you click New, this button here, that gives you a new canvas, but we already have a new canvas, so we don't need to do that. Underneath with the little jersey, that is templates. So if you click on templates, it gives you templates for many different types of projects. You can go all canvas types and you can click down for any of the selections here, or you can search different types of project templates depending on what it is that you're looking for. Underneath that, we have projects. So you can search in Cricut Design Space for projects instead of templates or images. You could see what people have done before and you can go ahead and do those types of projects. So for example, if we were to click on any one of these cards, so like let's say the egg card holder, it will show you an image of what it is, what it looks like finished, and it will give you a detail here what type of levels. So this is a beginner level craft. It takes less than 30 minutes and it tells you the size, the description, the materials to cut and everything else that you would need. Of course, you could customize. You don't have to use yellow, mint and teal. You can change your colors, but it gives you the breakdown of what is in what the image shows. And then it tells you preparation, cut, etc. And it shows you pictures. So it walks through the entire project for you from beginning to end. and you can go in and customize it, or you could go straight to making it. That's what looking up projects are. You can also go into the project search bar and click specific things in here as well. You can say Cricut only, or you can go through the drop down menu here as well. Then we have shapes. So if you click into shapes, these are all the free shapes on top here that are included in Design Space if you do not have the subscription, your basic shapes, right? And then if you scroll down, that little A represents Cricut Access. So if you pay for the Cricut Access membership per month or per year, you would have images and files and projects and stuff all included in your Cricut Access. So this is a breakdown of what types of images are included in your Cricut Access. If you do not have Cricut Access, then you'd have to pay for all the extras individually. After shapes, you have images. You can search here for thousands of images. You can search by subject, by theme. There are a few, because I'm in Canada, there are a few license agreements here for Marvel, Warner Brothers, Star Wars, Sesame Street. I know in the States have a lot more licensed agreements. So if you're from the States, you would see a lot more in this area here. And how it works is you would just click and it would bring up a bunch of images associated to that category. You could continue to filter even more in your subcategories here. And then you can also filter depending on the type of project that you're doing, operation type, language, materials, etc. So again, we'll get into more detail in that. This is just a brief understanding of what Design Space is and the interface. Text, that just puts the generic text, which is Cricut Sans, onto the Design Space, onto our canvas. And we can change it and manipulate it in many different ways. There are phrases, similar to how you saw the images. Phrases that come up would be here. You can search for different types of phrases. Then we have editable images. These are ones that you can go in and you could customize, and you can change the name Austin to the Crafted Creative, whatever project you're doing, project specific. So these are editable images. Then you have your upload section where you would upload different types of SVGs that you have, and you have a monogram section. So this is where there's a monogram area that you can put in your initials, and it can help you make a monogram for a project that you're working on. So those are all the things down the left-hand side panel. Now we're going to go across the top panel. So starting from left to right, we have the undo button. And of course, if you do something, you could redo it. So that's the other arrow. I'm going to click on my text so that it could highlight the top. So we have operation type, which is basic cut. You can also draw. You have a pen tool. So that's what the draw is there represents. You could either use a pen or you could use foil. And there's a guide as well. So it will change your font to that. And next to it is a color panel. We can deselect everything. We can select everything. We can edit. And there are shortcuts on the side here. Command X, Command C, Command D, and then delete. Or you can do the long way. We have align. So if I had two texts and if I wanted to line them up, I will select all and I can align them left. I could align them center. I could align them right, etc. I can also select them and I can distribute them vertically evenly, right? So let's say it was like this and I want to distribute these guys vertically evenly. It will space the space between the first word and the second word, and the second word and the third word are the same. And then you can align them center. So they're now perfectly aligned. Then next we have a range. So this will let me move layers towards the front, towards the back, or just behind one layer, etc. We could also group them together. So for example, If I wanted to have these two to stay together, I would hit Command G, or I would hit group, or there's a button on this side that helps me with grouping as well. So now this is all one instead of it being two separate. And to ungroup it, you would hit ungroup or the shortcuts for ungroup. Next, we have offset. So that is to give us a outline around our text, and we can adjust the different sizes here. Then we have warp, which is to warp our text. We have the width and the height of our text as well. So right now we have a width of 1.65 and a height of 0.8. If we wanted to change that to a height of 1 inch, we can change that just like that. Once this little lock is closed, that means that once I change the height, the width is going to adjust proportionately to it. It's already locked in. If I wanted it to change separately, if I wanted to adjust them separately, I would click the lock button and I would be able to change my text like this. I could adjust the height, I could adjust the width all on my own, as opposed to it going proportionately. Rotate, we can rotate our text. We can rotate our text like this. We could put in 90 and we could change it. More is, this is just the position of where our image, text, or whatever we're working on is on our canvas. So for example, if this were 0, 0, my image would go, or my text in this case would go all the way to the top. So you'll see that these panels, these increments run along the top as well as the side. So that's just telling me where on my canvas my image or my text or my design is. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about text. So this bottom panel here gives us everything that we need to do to edit our text. First up, we select our text and we can go to the font menu and we can change our font here. They have different ways to filter the font to find different types of font that you would like. Then you would have your style, so you can do bold, regular, bold, italic, etc. Depending on what font you choose, this has limitations because not all fonts can be bold or made italic. You have your font size. You can put in a specific size that you want for your font to be. You have your letter spacing. So right now it's currently 0, but if I were to increase this, let's say 10, I would have a bigger space in between all of my letters. Then we have line spacing. So that is the space between our lines. So if we had the word text written twice, and right now this line spacing is 1, if we wanted it to be 5, then we'd get a bigger space between the word text and text. We can also align things center, left or right, and we also have top, center, and bottom. That's where it is in relation to the text box. And we can warp our text on or off. We can put it on or we can turn it off. Okay. Another thing we can do is we can curve our text. So let's make sure we have one. We can curve our text here and we can curve it up or we could curve it down depending on the project that we're working on. And we can also break our letters up into groups. So right now, this text, let's make this back to 0. This text is as is when you type it in. So if you click text and you just start typing hello, then that's where it's set. That's the generic setting. If we wanted to manipulate this and we wanted to move things a little bit further away from each other, or we wanted to move things closer to each other or whatever, we can go into advanced and ungroup our letters. What that does, it gives us each letter its own entity so that we can move it and we can manipulate it as we wish. If you put it, let's say we do something like this. and then we like how that looks, we can always select them and we could always group them back together. Remember, we could always go and we can group. Okay, so that is what advanced is there. So now we're on our right hand panel and we're going to go through what this panel means. So we have layers and we have color sync. Layers is where you would see all your images, your text, everything that you're working on in your project. That's where you're going to see it lined up here. So this text that I put in here, this is just one layer. So that's where you would see this layer here. It's a basic cut, which means that the Cricut is just going to cut out the words just as it is. And this little eye means I could turn it on and I could turn it off as I wish, depending on how I'm working in my project. This one is grouped, so you will see it as a group. I could turn the entire group off, or I could turn individual letters or layers off. Each one is its own layer because we had already broken it up. So in this group, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers to make that group. On the top here, if you hover it over, it will tell you ungroup or up arrow Command G. And in this, the second image here is duplicate. So if we wanted to duplicate our image, and then if we wanted to delete. So this would tell me if I click this, because group is highlighted, if I click this, it will ungroup and give me back our layers separately, individually, just like this. And if I were to click my text box and I wanted to duplicate this layer, I will just click this and it would duplicate. You could also use the shortcut, which is Command D, and you can duplicate your layer as well, just like that. And then if you wanted to delete anything, once it's selected, you can just delete. You could also click multiple layers like this, and you can delete as well. Right now it shows that it's a blank canvas here. These commands at the bottom here, we have slice, we have combine, and it tells us different ways of combining. That would be if we had different designs or shapes that we wanted to combine or subtract or unite, etc. Attach, flatten, and contour. And these are going to be its own separate video because there's a lot of information to go into for those commands and those processes. But right now, this is your basic. This is what your canvas is like. This is what your interface is like. That's what I just went through all the tools with you. Also on the top right, you have the ability to save. So now that we put something in our canvas, we will press save. And here we can say hello project, right? And we can just save it. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Anyways, I can always fix that after. There's my stuff. So that will take you to your list of all the projects that you've worked on. Joy is selected because that's the machine that I'll be working with. And make is when you're ready. If you like how your project looks, then you will go to make it. So for example, I'll show you what it's like going from the canvas onto the make it screen. So let's say we take just a shape. So we have this little heart here, and just for purposes, we make it purple. And I'm ready. I like that the size of it. I like everything about it, and I'm ready to make it. What I would do is make sure that my Joy is selected. You can click it and it will give you a list of all the different types of machines you can choose from. Make sure your Cricut Joy is selected and you click make. Your project will be saved to my stuff. Okay, save. And I will heart project. So let me make sure I spell this correctly this time. Perfect. And click save. Now it's going to take me to this screen where it's asking, how will you load all of your materials for this project? Am I going to do it without a mat, or am I going to do with a mat, or am I doing it on a card mat? Right now, because for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to do it on vinyl. I'm going to click on a mat. It's going to give me the default mat of 4.5 by 6.5. Now, if we were to use without a mat, that's because we're using smart materials. I'm going to try to show you what both of them look like. So on a mat would be the default mat size, Press confirm and it's going to show you where it's going to be located on your mat. You can also zoom in and you can zoom out. You can move this around as well depending on where you want it to cut. If I were to do without a mat, then it would be a smaller screen because it's only going to give me an area that I need for the material. So it shows me that I would need about just over 4 inches of material in length. Okay, so it actually says it right here. Based on your layout, material must be at least 4.5 inches, 75 inches in length. So we can click continue. It's going to connect to my machine. Once it connects to my machine, it will give me all the steps that I need to follow. It's going to ask me to choose my base material. So in this case, I'm just going to choose Smart Vinyl Permanent. These are the ones that I've bookmarked, but you can also browse materials and you can find all the different types of materials that you can use to cut. So we're just going to click Smart Permanent Vinyl. My pressure is set as default. You can adjust it for more or for less. Step 2 is going to tell me load tools and materials. It's telling me that I need my fine point blade in the clamp, so I have to make sure that that's there. And it's going to tell me to load my machine. Once I do that, click go and we can send it off to cut. And there you have it. That is an in-depth overview of Design Space. And as we go on to more projects, we are going to learn how to do projects from beginning to end. And I'm super excited about that. I have lots of projects that I am dying to do with you, and I'm so happy to bring them to you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, as well as drop some love in the comments below. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments and I would be happy to reach out and answer them if I can. Also, I look forward to seeing you in my next video where we're actually going to be doing a project. So see you in the next video. Thank you so much for your time and for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.